Welcome to the Joy of Coding.
Hello, and welcome to episode 359 of The Joy of Coding. My name is Mike Conley. It's so good to have you here. We're going to be hacking on some Firefox and Thunderbird stuff today. I hope you're ready for that. Come on in, gather around. The water's fine. Let me start by sharing my screen. Yeah, it's March 13th, 2024, episode 359. A reminder, I say this before every stream. No plan survives breakfast. I think I know what I want to do today. In fact, last week I more or less laid out the plan of what I wanted to do, but I don't know how things are going to go. Might go horribly wrong. We might get stuck. Might have problems with building Thunderbird or getting Thunderbird to respond, or building Firefox, getting Firefox to do stuff. Who knows? But that's okay, you know. Like you're gonna watch me just kind of deal with it as we go, and that's the idea behind this thing. It's warts and all software development. That's the first thing. The second thing is that the agenda that you're looking at is something that you can follow along with and have access to, and click on the links in if you're so interested. If you're watching this on Air Mozilla, check out the link to the agenda over there. If you're watching this on YouTube or Dio.zone, it's down in the video description, and on Twitch it's down in the channel description. I realized today, actually, when I was setting up this stream, that I haven't been updating the link for Twitch for the agenda or the rate this episode form for like the past, I don't know, 5 episodes. That's my bad. I really wish I had like a script. You know, if I spent time, I like setting up an episode of this streaming series takes maybe like 20 to 30 minutes to sort of like create the things and update the events, like do the business, make the pipes all talk to one another. I should probably write a script to automate it. But you know, there's so many services to talk to. Who knows? Maybe it's possible. I haven't looked into it, but it's manual right now, and that one just fell through the cracks. What are we working on today? Well, last episode, we kind of ended it on a cliffhanger where we finally got our favicon fetching utility that we'd written for, it's in WinUtils, it's for the jump list, but a couple of other utilities use it, or a couple of other components use this favicon fetching and caching utility. We'd gotten it to build, so we'd been struggling with using Moz Promise and getting it to build properly, and finally it built, and don't know if it's correct, don't know if it's stable, don't know if it does anything really, but the easiest way to actually check, beyond writing a G test in this case, which I don't necessarily want to do right now, is to wire it up to the front end and then invoke it via JavaScript and then see if it does what we expect it to do. That's what I'm hoping to do today. But also, I'm hoping to do this other thing, which is to update Thunderbird desktop, because did you know that the Thunderbird team has adopted K9 Mail? I don't know if you knew that, but like since I was working on Thunderbird like 10, 15 years ago, 2011, what year is it? 13 years ago, people have been asking for an Android client, a Thunderbird Android client, and we've kind of batted it around, and it was like, it's too hard, too expensive, couldn't figure it out. And then the current Thunderbird team did a really smart thing, which is that they reached out to the developers of K9 Mail, which is a great email client for Android if you've never used it. And they were like, hey, you want to join the family? You want to become the Thunderbird email client on Android? And the K9 Mail people were like, let's do it. And so there's this partnership going on now where the Thunderbird, the MZLA organization is taking over development. They hired the people who had been working on K9 Mail, and they they're working right now on turning K9 Mail into the Android client, the Thunderbird Android client, which is great. I'm really excited for that. I'm excited to finally use Thunderbird on my phone at some point. Okay, well, the thing I wanted to hopefully do today was to found the Canadian. Yeah, that's me. I wanted to start by updating Thunderbird to use the off-main thread jump list stuff that we wrote back in 2023. And the reason I figure I can do that right now is I actually have an opt build building for the for Firefox for our favicon thing, and that's probably going to take a little while because I kicked it off too late. But I have a parallel, like a finished artifact build of Thunderbird over here that I think we can use. Now, this is very risky because I use something called mozconfig wrapper to set up my mozconfig, and I'm pretty sure that when you choose a mozconfig and start the build, the mozconfig is read at the beginning and held in memory, and so this build should continue fine, but I'm going to change my chosen mozconfig to use TB artifact, which is the artifact build mozconfig I set up to build Thunderbird, and hopefully this build won't suddenly get very confused and start making Thunderbird stuff happen. We'll see. But I've got a build here. I built it earlier today. Let's fire it up and take a look. So I've got like a test email account. I've got a test email contact there in the address book. And I've got this in my jump list. Now, one thing I noticed right off the bat is that there is a slight difference between what's in the jump list on Thunderbird Daily and my instance of Thunderbird, where there are these tasks: write a new message in an open address book. So that's the first thing I want to answer, is how come my build, my local build, doesn't have those items here? Leftmost Cat asks, is build with an alias or is it part of Moz build? It's part of Moz config wrapper. So that's how I manage multiple Moz configs. This is a tool that Ahal wrote, and I recommend you check it out if you use Moz configs, because it allows you to switch back and forth between different Moz configs fairly easily, and then it gives you these different commands: build with, make Moz config, remove a Moz config, edit a Moz config, etc. Works on Windows, works on Linux, works on Mac OS. Written in Python, I think. All right, so how come, that's the first question, how come those two items, write an email and open the address book, aren't in here? So let's figure that out. So the way I tend to do this, like, I don't know the answer to this question, so you're gonna watch me try and figure this out. The way I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna start digging in to see how Thunderbird talks to the jump list already. I think I recall it having a similar kind of setup using something called the jump list builder. Mail modules, Windows jump lists. I think this is it. And there are some prefs. There's like tasks enabled, taskbar enabled. And I wonder if that's the first thing, is like, are the tasks enabled? Let's find out. If I go into, I believe I have to go and do some special stuff to get to about config inside of Thunderbird. Let me just see if I remember how to do this. Cache config editor, here it is. And what's the mail taskbar? That's the branch. Lists enabled true, tasks enabled is true. So these things are on. And these are the tasks that I'm expecting. This is the one to create an email. This is one to open the address book. And I guess we must not have invoked some of this stuff. When is this stuff invoked? I guess that's my other question, is like, when is Win taskbar jump list startup called? It's called in NS Suite Glue, but that's for the suite. Who calls it for mail? Mail glue. Here it is. If the service is available, then we do these things on first window loaded. Okay. And let's go inside of startup. Let's presume it's run. And so startup, we'd see whether or not init taskbar works. It should, because I'm running Windows 10. So one thing we can do is we can check to see if _tasks exists on Win taskbar jump list, because that would tell us whether or not startup had run. That's just like a cheap and easy way of sort of testing after that, Thunderbird had already started up. So I'm going to open up the developer toolbox. And we're going to go to the console here. going to say that's win taskbar jump list, and we're going to see if the tasks have been populated. I don't think they have. Hang on. Let me just double check I got that right. Tasks should have been set, and they weren't. Let's see what happens if I run startup. I'm gonna launch the debugger, or I'm gonna go into the debugger for a sec here, and let's see if we can sort of follow it along. Sup, MDOS? Sup, Malini? Good to see you. Oh, it's so good to have you in the chat. I'm so happy. So happy right now. I'm getting a lot of nostalgia vibes working on Thunderbird, talking with I think the last time I talked to you, Malini, I was still working on Thunderbird for a living. What am I doing? Win taskbar. What is this file called? Jump list. Yeah, there we go. What am I working on? I am working on trying to get Thunderbird to use the new jump list backend that I wrote for Firefox, because I want to tear out the old one, and the new one's better because it works completely off of the main thread, or mostly off of the main thread. So that's my goal. It's a little selfish, because by doing this, I mean, it makes Thunderbird's performance better. It won't do so much main thread I/O on Windows, but also I can then get rid of the old mechanism. Aha! Init taskbar failed. That's what's going on. Let's see if we can figure out why. Let's go in here. Create jump list builder. False. Builder is this thing. If not builder or builder. I know why it doesn't work. It doesn't work because it's actually using. So I think I broke jump lists in Thunderbird. Jump list builder. Enable by default held to nightly. Where is it? Remove. I moved the existing Windows jump list components and interfaces to be legacy jump list and create a new off main thread backend implementation. And we need to do either of these things. And since this happened 4 months ago, the jump list backend hasn't been Thunderbird hasn't been using the right one. It's been trying to use the new one, but trying to use it in the old way. So I'm gonna fix this. That's the problem. So let's fix this right now. So that's good. We're actually gonna fix a bug. Now there's a bunch of stuff in here. I think I'm gonna close a bunch of stuff. Let's open up let's get a new window, actually, now that I think about it. This is going to be my Thunderbird window. Open folder. Let's look inside of my Thunderbird source. And then we're going to open up COM. Where is that file, actually? Jumplist.jsm. Oh, did they already ESMify it? Good work, gang. Mail modules, window jump list. That's what I want. And they already ESMified it. Good stuff, Thunderbird team. Windows jump lists. Here we go. Okay. So I think a lot of this we can actually we can keep it. The whole task description thing, I think we can keep it. What we're gonna do instead, and the really nice thing about this is that Thunderbird doesn't do anything wildly sophisticated with the jump list. Firefox shows your history and stuff inside of the jump list, and Thunderbird does not. And so we get to skip a lot of the sort of weirdness, not weirdness, a lot of the complexity. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with init taskbar. I have to remind myself what the jump list builder API is available. So I think what we do here is we on init, I see init taskbar is async and startup is async. Okay, I think that's what we want to do. Async startup, exit. If not, await this, then those are our tasks. All right, we're going to rewrite a bunch of this stuff soon. Don't worry about it, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. Init taskbar is going to be async. And what we'll do is we'll create a jump list builder. That's still correct. And then we have to check to see is available. Otherwise, return true. Okay. And then we'll enter here. We'll refresh prefs. What does that mean? We'll just like cache the pref values. Okie dokie. And then we'll initialize the observer for preferences changing. Okie doke. And a shutdown observer. And then we'll call update. See if we're enabled. And if we are enabled, we'll build the list. Now, this is where things get... Don't leave the last list hanging on the taskbar. So if we're not showing any tasks, let's go ahead and destroy the jump list. And we can do that. We have clear jump list. So we're going to make build list async as well. Is that build list? Is that what I do over here? Build list. Yeah. Async. We're going to await, and instead of saying, well, what does delete active jump list do? Builder. I guess we can have that in direction. Promise clear jump list is what I'd say. But all right. This builder clear jump list return clear jump list. And then where's the other caller here? This one's happening on the preference changing. And I guess we don't need to have this one await. That's fine. That's fine. It doesn't have to await. Build list also doesn't have to be awaited. We'll await deleting the jump list, and then we'll return. Check to see if start build. See this, we can get rid of all this now. We don't need this. I don't need this either. Mostly don't need this. Here's what we're going to do instead. So we don't need start build. We just need to await builder populate jump list. This dot builder populate jump list, and then we have to pass it a series of task descriptions, and we're not passing anything for custom, no custom sections. So tasks, nothing, and then empty for this other one. So tasks, if show tasks, then we don't need to commit the build. Populate jump list tasks. What we need to create effectively is stuff that looks like this. These task descriptions. Task descriptions equals that. That's what we're going to pass forward. And then we'll just do this fancy map thing where we map our tasks to the path. Now here's where we need to get our map, create handler app item for a task. See, this goes all out. It gets pretty intense. What do we do over here? I just get the self path. I don't have to do any of that intense stuff around like creating a local handler app. I think we only use this, for example, in the legacy case. Build tasks. And that's, what is this, legacy? Build this legacy. Yeah. Don't need that anymore. Self path. So we'll get the self path. Could probably cache that. Could probably stand to cache that. I don't know why we didn't cache that here. And then we'll, for each one of these, we'll pass in a title, description. I think that's what we have in these task descriptions up here. Title, description, args, icon index. So title, description, args, icon index. Amazing. That should be it. That should do it. And then I think we can just get rid of a bunch of this stuff. We can get rid of that. We can get rid of this and this. And I think this should work. Let's find out. Let's build it and find out. All right. I think I can do this with Thunderbird as well. Build faster. Bayam das. I really don't know if mock build faster works with Thunderbird. Let's find out. Thunderbird mock build faster. Build binaries. Might not work. Let's find out. Doesn't look like it worked. Oh, there it is. There it is, gang. Let's open that address book. Did it work? Yes. Address book. Although it looks like it launched a new window. Different profile. I think that is expected because I'm using a development profile over here. So I think we've got a working jump list now. Nice. Yeah. All right. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's see if there's anything else we can clean up in there. Whoops, I didn't mean to open my own Thunderbird. No, no, close, 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 close. Look away, look away. Look away. Don't look at it. Oh, thank you very much. Don't want you looking at my email, gang. Let me just briefly go back here for a sec and make sure Thunderbird is closed. Yes, it is. Okay. Can't have you be looking at my email because there might be security bugs in there and stuff. All right, so I think we did it. I just, like I said, I wanted to double check and see if there's anything we can clean up additionally. So I like the idea of caching this value, self path. So let's do that because that's never going to change. So Chrome utils define lazy getter, lazy self path. Or maybe just to go with convention here, self path function. Okay. Lazy dot self path. The other thing that we should check and make sure works is we should make sure that when we disable, I don't know if you have Twitch Store VODs, but may want to make sure it doesn't save that bit. I don't know what that means. If people are sending me money or like Twitch money, you don't have to do that. Like, I appreciate it, but I don't understand Twitch culture or money, and I don't know where the money goes. I don't think it's coming to me. Like, you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to send me money. I appreciate just be nice to each other in the chat. That's all I need. Oh, I don't know if you have Twitch Store video on demand. Oh, I see. For a while I used to upload copies of my videos to Twitch, and then I just stopped doing that for some reason. I can't remember why. I have them all mirrored on YouTube, and they're all on Air Mozilla. Okay, so the one thing I want to check is if I disable the taskbar, the list should go away. Yeah. And then if I re-enable it, it should come back. Yes. Yes. Woo! That's good stuff. That's good stuff. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take a look at this patch and post it for review. Let's take a quick peek though and make sure we didn't put anything embarrassing in it. That was a lot faster than I thought it would be. I thought we'd... What? Oh, right. Right, that's how this works. I thought we'd be spending at least, I don't know, at least an hour on that, but it seemed to go by pretty quick. I guess I should do the same thing for the suite for SeaMonkey. I mean, I guess what do they have? What do they have over in SeaMonkey Land? Sweet. Sweet glue. I see. They actually have a version, like the really old version for Firefox. So like a copy of that in here. Whoops. Yeah. Yeah, okay. And who Who touched this stuff last? Remove services, consumers. Ian Neal, Frank, Phil. But that was back in 2018. Someone might from the Sea Monkey team want to update this, but I don't think I'm gonna do it. Yeah, Leftmost cat says don't bother with Sweet. I think the Sea Monkey gang will sort it out as need be. I don't even think they're going to be. They probably haven't inherited the modern. They're probably building on an older version of Gecko, meaning that they don't have the newer backlist or jumpless backend. So I don't think we have to really super worry about it. Okay, well, I'm pretty happy with this actually. So let's go ahead and commit. What was the bug number? Bug such and such. Update. Mail to use the new jump list builder APIs. The new off main thread. And who can review this? Who's a good reviewer for this? So the way I would figure that out is by looking to see who's reviewed it in the past. Well, it was ESMified. And then before that, Magnus, Alika. Should I bother Magnus and Alika with this? Why not? Why not? Let's bother Magnus. Okay. Thunderbird reviewers would be my recommendation. Big font. I don't know if you knew that that's how that came in, Leftmost Cat, but I think Element and Matrix, I think by default Element will take a hash and presume you're doing a header. And so what you've... I'm just going to bring the chat up into the foreground for a second so you can see what that looked like. Thunderbird reviewers would be my recommendation. Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Let's do that. Thunderbird reviewers. Okay. Let's see what happens. Hey, Thunderbird, y'all are getting a performance improvement for free. Thunderbird team. You just want to be emphatic? Mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. I feel like it's an interesting choice on Element's part to just treat the hash as a insto header, or maybe it's not so much a Matrix and Element choice so much as it might be the bridge, the way that the bridge is communicating. Because I noticed you wrote that from. Let me see what happens when I type Thunderbird reviewers into the chat. See, that doesn't go all big for me. I'll bet. I wonder if I do Leftmost Cat Thunderbird reviewers would be my recommendation. No, see, I don't know why. I think it's the bridge. This is not a Matrix or Element thing. I'm going to presume it's a bridge. Can't explain it. You can't explain that. All right, let's take a look at the patch in Fabricator. You know, in a way, we can make this better by not having to create the structure each time. It's a static structure. So... Ooh. I mean, I guess because these are lazy, you get the strings at the last minute. Okay. I'll let my reviewers worry about that. Yeah, we got rid of all this complexity, which is nice. All right, let's see what happens. It sends it as plain text to Matrix, and Matrix supports Markdown. Yeah, exactly. I think that's what's going on. Danny Colon. Bullseye. All right, well, that's it for the Thunderbird portion of the episode. The Firefox portion is still building. It's been building for 50 minutes, and we're still getting through DOM, so this might take a while. But I think we can probably start writing a little bit. Even though we can't build it, we can start writing a little bit. What I wanted was to expose the helper through XPCOM so that we can test it. WinUtils. I don't think we already have any like interface here that's being exposed. It's like a static method. WinUtils. Favicon stuff. Yeah, Favicon helper. So how do I expose this? What's the right way of exposing this? Well, one way of exposing it is finding a different Windows-specific widget IDL. Let's see. Widget, Windows. Is there anything in here that I could tack it onto that makes sense? Okay. Print settings, win. Taskbar progress, taskbar window preview, system build bar, system status bar, NS widget, Windows UI utils. Here you go. Here you go. Windows UI utils. This is what I'm going to put it on. Okay. And this is going to be, it's going to return a promise, so it'll have an implicit, if we look at our jumplist builder.idl, it's the same as, yeah, I'm already going to use it here. Never mind. I'm already putting it on the jumplist builder. Obtain and cache favicon async. And where this builder. Oh, I'd already done it. Did I forget? Did I black out? When did I do this? Did I do this on the stream? Make sure we're on the main thread. We have a promise. We have an IO thread. We create a DOM promise. We create a promise holder. We get the Moz promise, and then we either resolve with the ICO path or we reject with the result. That's correct. I think that's correct. Wow. I don't remember doing that, but we've already wired it up. So now we have to test it. So, I guess we have to wait for our build to finish. Well, shoot, we've reached a point in the episode where possibly you did it on stream. I mean, I mean to only work on this stuff on stream. So I guess I'll work on something else while we're waiting for this. Let's review a patch. Let me pull up my review list here. What's worth reviewing right now? Okay. So there's a project I've been working on with a few other people. It's in the very early stages, so don't get excited. It's like really, really early on. But the idea behind it is we're hoping to make it possible to create full, or like 98% of your user profile, your local user profile. We want to be able to create backups, local file system backups of your user profile. And we're starting really small. Like we're going to just create one backup. Maybe we'll do it like once a day. We'll do it silently in the background. You like the user opts in, says like, yes, I want backups. Maybe create one a day. And you can like recover from that backup by creating a new profile and like decompressing it in there or something. Like we're still kind of working out a lot of the details. But one of the things that we're starting to do is look into doing some measurements on how big these backups are likely to be. Like we don't want to we want to get a sense of whether or not we're going to be packing people's hard drives full. We really don't want to, because like a backup is effectively a copy of the user profile directory. We're not going to take the whole thing. There are obviously things that we're not going to back up, like caches and certain things that only make sense within the instance of a profile. But of the things that we do want to archive, how big are they going to be? How big are they going to be? And we don't know. It's possible that when we archive them, they'll be even smaller because we'll compress them. We'll run some compression on them. Maybe we'll vacuum the databases and whatnot. Think of it as like dehydration or like vacuum sealing stuff. So we'll be able to suck out a lot of the air. But if we measure the size of the things that we're trying to back up inside of the user profile directory right now, that will give us like an upper bound on how big in general these things might be for people. Like we can start creating distributions of like, oh, it's going to be like tens of megabytes, or maybe it's going to be hundreds of kilobytes. I'm going to guess my personal guess is it's going to be in the tens of megabytes, because it's not just things like your bookmarks or your history, but it's like your favicons database, which could be huge. Or your places data. If you've got a ton of history, if you've been using your browser every day for the past 6 months, your database might be gigantic. And then there are other things like the cookie database, and it really depends on what's been stored in there. So we don't know, and so we need to measure, and that's what we're starting with, is measurement, because that's where you generally should start, is measure. So we've got a base class. And it's called Backup Resource. And my colleague, Catherine, has written a patch that attempts to measure the size of favicons and places. I see. So I'm just thinking about this a little bit. We might actually want to combine favicons and places, because they're effective. Like the favicons don't make sense without places. It's a separate database, but they're attached databases. So we might actually want to have the measurement exist within one resource. So I'll start there. We might actually only want one backup resource here. A places backup resource that measures both places.sqlite and favicons.sqlite. The reason for this is that places as a concept encompasses multiple things, including both places, both of these databases. places as a concept encompasses both of these things. Places, for example, places, the places component, for example, owns both of these databases. In fact, the favicons database is often attached to the places one. SQLite database attach. Is the favicons database, despite being distinct, is attached to the places one. Okay, so that's my first piece of feedback. So we're measuring in kilobytes the size of the places database. Total size of the places SQLite database located in the current profile directory in kilobytes. Is that bug right? 3642, yeah, 3642. Expires never. Yeah, that looks right. Okay, and then we import the base class. We export our class. So again, yeah, like I think we should combine this, as I mentioned earlier. I think we should combine this with the places backup resource. But the idea is sound. We get the path to the favicons database, and then we await there's a utility to get the file size in kilobytes and add like a fuzz factor so that we don't, to reduce fingerprintability, and then we get the resource size in kilobytes, and then we set it. That looks right. That looks right. And then she added a couple of test databases, and then she wrote some tests. Would this be related to bug 1794890? If you try to move a profile from username John to username John Smith, it will fail due to hard coding of the paths. I filed this. When did I file this? A year ago. Update the migrator code in the Firefox profile migrates. It doesn't remember default profile. Yeah, this would be an alternative. Instead of using like the Firefox migrator, this is like you can use the backup system to migrate, but its main user value, the main value proposition, if you want to use that terminology, is that we're creating backups for you. But there happens to be a byproduct that those backups should be portable between devices. That's the byproduct. So, yeah, this is somewhat related. I think we might want to just close this one now that I think about it. Thank you, NerdBloke, for reminding me of this. Let me go ahead and pin that for later. And yeah, part of the work is like checking to see where paths are hard coded, and then during backup creation or restoration, remapping them. Okay, let's look at Catherine's tests. Tests that we can measure the file size of places SQLite the profile directory. We get the places file, we copy, we say, hey, take the measurements. In this case, what I'd recommend is that we test the smaller unit and create an instance of places backup resource and call measure on it rather than calling take measurements on the service class. That way, later on, we we can write a test for the backup service that is prepared with multiple fake backup resources and ensure that their measure methods are being called. Yeah. Same with this one. Yeah. Okay. And instead of for this, instead of ensuring that the size is just greater than 0, since we know the size of test places.sqlite temp file path, we're going to copy into the temp file there. Know the size of test places SQLite. Since we know the size of test places SQLite, instead of, we can take that measurement and statically take that measurement outside of the test ourselves, and then write that in a static constant in this add task, and compare that against the value written to Glean. Note that we'll want to use the same rounding and fuzzing logic to produce our static value. Okay. Is that, I think that's the right formatting. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and request changes. Looking good. Just a few small suggestions. See below. Thanks. Looking good. How's our build doing? Build's only at extensions. We might not actually get to the interesting part. I did not expect this build to take this long. It's an opt build, and I wonder if I've been doing debug builds for so long, I wonder if my SC cache is not saturated. Yeah, hit a lot of cache misses. Very few cache hits. Yeah. Actually, I'm surprised these numbers are not going up. 699. There we go. 758. 268. Errors. Non-cacheable calls. Non-cacheable calls are really going up. Stuff's not cacheable, gang. Anyway. So what are we going to do? Let's do something else. Let's find something else to do. Do I have anything else to review? Let's look at this one. Okay. Translations. Dynamically populate the drop-down menu selector in the secondary translation settings. So what I like to do whenever I'm taking on a review like this, I just see what else has been, who else has been interacting in here. Looks like Heist got in here at some point. Nerdzilla. Oh, it looks like Heis is kind of like dedicated to reviewing this, so maybe I'll back off. All right, I'll let him finish the job. What's another good thing I can review? Load application schema. Okay, I'll take this one. This is authored by Mark Banner, who also used to work on Thunderbird. Load application provides search engine icons from remote settings. And I am going to take this off of my settings reviewers list, and I'll put it on my list so that the other settings reviewers don't have to worry about it. Let's take a look and see what Mark's trying to fix. Create new search engine icon schema and use it. As part of the new search engine configuration work, we have decided to implement a separate remote settings collection for handling search engine icons. This allows for better flexibility in the handling of icons, especially across platform. Great. Let's see here. What other details are there? So there's a bunch of like dependencies. Simplify removing engines during reload engines with search config v2. Add dump and attachments for search config icons to the tree. Provide a single function for obtaining icon URLs from search engines, and then create new search engine icon schema. So a lot of like a lot of infrastructure work has already happened here. And I think I've already reviewed some of that infrastructure work. I kind of remember this stuff. So let's see what he's actually doing in this patch. Where do I start? Well, one way to start is get engine. What is being modified here? Get engine icon URL. Converts the engine's icon into an appropriate URL for display at unrelated net. Display at what? Display at what? What a cliffhanger. The URI received here can be one of several types. So the URL, we get the icon URL. And if we don't have one, then we'll get a placeholder URL. Okay, so it's a Chrome URI maybe, or it might be a data. It might be one of several types: Moz extension URI, a data URI, or a blob. For blob URIs, we do want to create a copy of the data for the content process, so we handle that here. Otherwise, if the URI is not a data URI, there's no point in converting it to an array buffer, which is used to optimize passing the data across 2C's processes. We can just pass the original URI, which is cheaper. If the URI is not a data URI, yeah, let's not convert it to a array buffer. If it doesn't start with data and it doesn't start with blob, then it's just the URL. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and get the URL as an array buffer so we can move it more efficiently between processes. Okay. So far, so good. So it sounds like we're adding support for blobs. Over here in preferences land, we're allowing, okay, we're adding to the CSP so that blob URIs are allowed. That's fine. And then we're going to update some tests. Now, I'm not going to look at the tests just yet. It sounds like we're going to kind of get this for free. Like we're just making it so that we can show blob URLs in preferences. And over here in toolkit component search, this looks like it's like the bulk of the The meat of the patch is right here. There's some search service stuff. Now, I'm not really qualified to review toolkit component search. Like I can leaf through it, but like the search team has already been tasked with reviewing this stuff. Really, what I was asked to review whenever I was tagged on this was to review the stuff under preferences. So I'll look at this, but I'll leave it to the search team to do kind of like a deep review of the big bulk change here. But I do want to understand what it's doing. So he's got a remote settings lazy getter here, and then he creates this icon handler class. Really nice documentation here. We're using JSDoc, looking good. We got some type defs, which may or may not be some object array. The list of icon records from the remote settings collection, remote settings client for the search engine icons. The list of icon records from the remote settings collection. The remote settings client. He calls it the client? Icon collection. Is that right? The list of icon records. Okay. The collection. Where's item collection attachments? I guess the remote settings client for the search engine icons. All right, maybe remote settings calls them a collection. Seems a little confusing. Get icon. Return the icon for the record that matches the engine identifier and the preferred width. If there's no icon list, we'll go ahead and get the icon list. What's that mean? We get remote settings. We assign it to icon collection. And then we try and get the collection. Okay. And over here, we're going to go through the icon list. We're going to filter out and only have ones for which the engine identifiers ends with star. And if it does, then we'll return so this is wildcard support basically, because I guess we might have some wildcard engine icon records. Otherwise, we'll just make sure that the identifier matches the one we care about. Engine identifier. It matches this one. So we might have one or more. And then if there are no icon records, then we'll warn. And then we'll return null. Otherwise, we'll get the first one. And for each record, we'll see if any of them has the preferred width. And if so, that's what the icon record will be. And then, so we'll default to the first one if we don't find one with the preferred width. Okay. And then we try and get the icon record for the URL. And if there's no icon URL, then we error out. Otherwise, we'll create a blob. We'll create a blob from the buffer. And we'll pass that back as an object URL, which is a blob URI. Okay, that makes sense. And then this stuff, app provided search engine, we create our icon handler. Promise for the blob URL, the icon, we say the promise to avoid reentrancy issues. Okay, and the identifier for the configuration. So config identifier. Okay. Clean up if there's a blob URL. Promise. Then we will revoke the object URL. That's good. We free the memory. We destroy the promise. returns the icon URL for the search engine closest to the preferred width. So this is actually using the thing that we care about. I love this JS doc stuff. It reads so well. Good job. So get the preferred width. We'll return the promise in case one's already underway. Otherwise, we'll create a new one, get the icon with the configuration ID for the preferred width, and we return that promise. That all makes sense. A bunch of dead code gets removed, also good. And then in the search service, when are we doing this cleanup? In maybe remove engines after reload. We might clean up here. Okay. I'll leave it to the search team to make sure that the cleanup logic, because I'm not familiar with any of these modules. I'm just trying to understand what they do so I can better understand what is going on for the part I'm reviewing. The icons to use for the web extension. Yeah, okay. This is in, test utils. So it's so we can sort of like create a fake search engine, I guess. And then here we go. Test to ensure that icons for application provided engines are correctly loaded from remote settings. Okay, here's some fake engines. And then mock record with attachment, get file data buffer for some file name, create an array buffer input stream, and then set the buffer. Okay, generate a hash. Well, so we're hashing. Okay, I see. That's how we have to hash some data, and then we create a UUID and an attachment with the hash and the bing and the bong, create the record, create the attachment. So this is a fake record. Insert record into collection. DB create record, cache impulse set. Okay. Wow. This is how you fake out remote setting stuff, I guess. DB equals client DB. We'll clear out the DB, and then for test of tests, we'll push into something called config. This is in setup. We'll create an engine for each one. For if icons in the test, then we will go through each icon and insert the record into the collection, and then we will say that, hey, we're using test engines, and we'll init the search service, and then for each test we'll create a task. Oh, that's interesting. I've never seen this form before, but it works fine. Testing a particular engine, we get the engine. If there's an expected icon in the test, we'll get the icon URL at 16 pixels, and we should be able to do that. And then we'll fetch the engine icon. We'll turn it into an array buffer. We'll make sure that the buffers match. Wow, comprehensive. Good test. Good job, Standard 8. Okay, what about these other tests? Test that we can have the correct icon displayed. Open private browsing, and then in the private browsing tab, we'll get the computed style of the body, and we'll wait for the new tab search icon. So the search input, basically, to not be null. And then if it starts with blob, make sure that the a blob URL for the logo. If the icon URL for the expected icon URL. What is that? Expected icon URL. Where'd that come from? What's expected icon URL? Oh, Okay, so it's a global that we poke values into. Okay. If the icon URL that we expect is blob, then we presume that the new tab search icon starts with URL blob, so we've properly set it up. Otherwise, make sure it's this form. Okay. That seems okay. Install search engine, web extension based engine, allow testing passing of plain URL is the content process for icons. Okie dokie. So we don't register an about page, okay, and instead, oh, we do that in here in ad setup instead, and then we clean it up here. That's nice. Move it up here. So now we have that happening inside of this cleanup function. That's very nice. And then, okay. Well, you know what? I think I understand what's happening now. And really all we're doing is we're adding some support for blob URLs inside of about preferences. That's the part that I need to care about. And that seems okay to me. And that really just is this part. I just need to make sure that the CSP allows it. Otherwise, yeah, they don't need me. Testing approved. The preferences part of this works for me. I leafed through the rest of it as well, and at a high level seems good. Nice tests, but nice comprehensive unit test. But obviously someone from the search team should sign off on the rest of this before landing. Okay. Reviewed. All right, how's our build doing? Well, gang, it might not be happening today. We're in the middle of layout. Oh, that's a slow build. Slow build. 88 minutes. Holy smokes. Yeah, well, I guess I haven't done an opt build on Windows in a while, and my SC cache is just not saturated. I think at some point I should put in the service order for a new desktop, a new Windows desktop. This one, when was this made? When do I find out? Find out when Windows 10 machine built. System info. System info. When was this? What am I looking for? Type system info. Scroll a bit in the list. It shows original Windows install date. Does it? Software environment. System summary. Like when original Windows install date. Install date. Oh boy. or do debug builds over the weekend. Opt and debug builds. Yeah. Well, I don't know, but I guess we can look up the model number of this machine and find out when it was manufactured. It's in a Lenovo P710 ThinkStation. Lenovo P710 ThinkStation. They still make them, I guess. Xeon processor. Heat logical cores. BIOS version 2017. So at least 2017. So it's like 7 years old. Just 6 and a bit years old. I don't know. I feel like it should be faster. Maybe there's more I can do. Maybe there's some configuration stuff I can do to make the builds faster. But I'm really bummed because I thought we'd be able to test in time. So we might have to end it here, gang. I've done enough reviewing. We might have to be a to be continued as a real teaser. It's a real tease where I was like, hey, I'm going to be doing that thing. We're going to see if it works. And then we never got there. But we did the Thunderbird thing. And we reviewed some patches. So, yeah, maybe I'll end the stream there, and I won't touch it. I'll wait for this build to finish, and then I won't look at it. I won't try it out. And we'll try it next week. I have to pull up my calendar for a quick sec, because I think there's an episode we're going to have to skip. Yeah, episode... So the week after next. The 27th. No episode on the 27th. I did this. Where's the bug for the Thunderbird jump? Did this in here. Boo, build took too long. Let's look again next week. And no episode on March 27th due to an unskippable meeting. So that's the week after next. So I will see you. What's your take about Devon? What's Devon? I'm out of the loop. What's Devon? Devon, the world's first fully autonomous AI software engineer. Learns over time, collaborates with users. I don't know. I've never tried. I'll have to look into it. I don't know what Devon is. I've been out of the loop. Probably interesting, but I don't know. We'll see. Sure, go ahead. Put a link to Devon in the chat. That's fine. All right, we'll pick this up next week with episode 360. Woo! 360. I'll do a spin. Maybe I'll do a spin next week. And we'll see you next week whenever we actually take a look at that thing that we built last week and having it work in Firefox. All right. Have yourselves a great week, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
The joy of coding.
See ya. Oh no. How do I end this?